Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Mad Mondays, where I answer questions and I talk to you guys about, what it is to be who I am. And who I am is Nomad222, aka Damon Potter. I'm a hip hop artist, spoken word artist. I make music, I produce events, I create a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm a content creator. And part of that content is what I'm doing right now. And this series is where I answer 7 questions based on a different topic so that you guys can get to know who I am on a fundamental level and you guys can understand who the person is behind Nomad222. I've probably done that intro a bunch of times way better before. So if you guys want to go back and watch those other episodes, you can. But today we're going to be talking about independent label insights. And that's what this whole episode is going to be centered around. Anyway, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I will just let you guys know that it is actually 12:16 a.m. I've been up all day. I'm currently in Taupo, New Zealand. Right now I'm staying at the Barcelona motel with the rest of the Rugby 101 team because I'm here for an event. I'm not sure when you guys are going to see this, but that's what we're doing right now. And I'm just trying to get this in before the end of the night. So anyway, let's get into the questions. Why did you choose to stay independent in your music career? Well, I think it's to answer that truthfully and honestly, that decision comes from, a spot of insecurity. And I think that, I've been very open and honest about how insecure I am about the kind of music that I make. I think that it's very clear that the kind of hip hop that I create has been called and labeled with the term niche for quite some time now. And, that's in place of things like drill and whatnot. And then on top of that, I also feel like, I've got a fear of labels. I've heard way too many horror stories about, labels taking advantage of different artists that I've looked up to and admired from afar. And hearing those horror stories has really, made me kind of anti-label. Because at the end of the day, what can a label offer you that you aren't able to do yourself in 2024? We create content. We distribute music ourselves. We do so many things as independent artists to, make whatever we make and get it out to the world, that we're able to do all of that on our own. Why would we rely on anyone else to do it? Sure, they might have more resources, sure, they might have more capital, but that's about it. In my opinion, is no more than a glorified loan that you got to pay back with way more ridiculous interest rates than if you actually got a loan from a bank. So there's a bunch of different reasons, but those are probably the main reasons why I've chosen to stay independent. I feel like I don't want to be misunderstood. I don't want to be misrepresented. And I don't want to be taken advantage of. So yeah, that's that. Question number 2 is, what are the challenges of running an independent label? First and foremost, I don't consider myself to be running an independent label. I think that I aspire to run an independent label, and that independent label would be We Move Co. However, I don't feel like I have established We Move Co. as a business or, progressed enough on that pursuit to actually consider myself an independent label runner. But I think that's one of the challenges, is that it is so difficult. Being an independent artist, first and foremost, is already difficult in itself. So if I were to start up a label where, we're responsible for a roster of artists that are like myself, my goal for We Move Co. has always been that we champion artists and we champion independent artists and their ability to be self-sustaining. So I would want it to be somewhat of a revolving door. And I've used the analogy of Saturday Night Live before, because one thing I've always respected about Saturday Night Live is that it's kind of become an institution where comedians will, come through, whether it's on the writer's room or whether it's in front of the camera, actually being in the sketches and things like that. People come there for the experience and to learn and be a part of that team and go through that process. And then eventually they leave the show and then they go on to do other things. You know, we've seen names like Andy Samberg, Jimmy Fallon, Tina Fey, Bill Hader, Kristen Wiig, all those sort of actors. So I would want my label to be some kind of revolving door in that sense, where we bring artists in, we develop them, we give them the skills that they need to be self-sustaining. And then by the time we're finished with them, they're able to go off and pursue it on their own. They have their own team. They're able to do it all in-house and they don't need to rely on anybody else. And we help them achieve that. And another thing is that we just want to avoid all of the predatory practices that all the labels that came before us established as normal. Things like record labels owning the masters. We will never own your masters. We want all our artists to own their own masters and, you know, be in control of their destiny like that. So that's one thing that I think will set us apart from the rest of the labels, and, you know, just fully advocating for the artist and fully advocating for them to be in full ownership of what it is that they create, so that a decade into their career or their work with us, they're not having to go and re-record things and make their own Taylor's version like Taylor Swift did. So yeah, it's something that is still a work in progress for me. I definitely want to create that with We Move and We Move Music Group, and I think that's going to be really, really dope eventually, you know, one day. But for now, I think the challenge is actually just getting that up off the ground. How has being independent shaped your creative freedom? Well, for one, I mean, that's the thing. I think creatives forget that we're always free. Me specifically, I always forget that. But it's given me the freedom to be able to, you know, define my own success. And this is something that, you know, has been a really big conversation recently, especially in the Melbourne scene. And I want to shout out Jen Clower, who is a really dope artist in her own right, but she put out this DIY handbook for musicians, and I encourage everyone to go find her on Instagram because it's in her bio and you can read it yourself. But through this document, there's a section in there where she talks about defining what success is to you. And that's something that I've been, you know, trying to figure out for myself. And ultimately, for me to be successful in the music industry, it's just that I get to create full time while keeping a roof over my family's head. It doesn't have to be a lavish life. It doesn't have to be luxury, you know, a mansion. If I can, you know, own a house like the house that I have right now for my kids, not have to worry about where the bills are going to come from, where the groceries are going to come from, and every day I get to create music, then that's success. I've achieved success. And yeah, I think another thing is that, you know, I had this grand idea in the beginning of what it meant to be successful as an artist. You know, I thought it meant that I have to be winning awards, I have to be winning Grammys, I have to be, you know, I have to be getting brand deals, I have to be performing at all of these great, amazing places around the world, I have to go on tour, I have to have fans in every single country in the world. And to an extent, that's still something that I aspire to, but it's not something that I'm holding against myself, and I'm learning to get rid of those expectations. And it's something that, you know, even Uncle Rob has spoken to me about. And, you know, just doing things, getting back to making music without expectation and making the music that I love. And that's a lot of what's been going on recently, you know. I've figured out a way where I can, you know, I can set up with my own mic and I can record demos and I can just make music that I think is dope. And I figured out, you know, a system that works for me. And all I need to do in its simplest form is make music I love, create content around it, and just see how it goes. And that's it. I don't have to worry about booking live shows. I don't have to worry about going on tour. I don't have to worry about securing brand deals and all of that other stuff. All that stuff can come organically, but I don't need to force it. If I just focus on those two things and I can build an audience from it, over time, all the other doors will open themselves. I don't have to worry about forcing myself into rooms where I'm not expected. I'll end up there if I just focus on those two things. Make music I like, create content around it. Everything else will work out itself. So yeah, that's how being independent has shaped my creative freedom. Question number 4, what advice would you give to other artists considering the independent route? What other advice would I give to other artists? Constantly do your research. And what I mean by that is not just, look up what is an independent artist. What I mean by that is figure out who you want to be as an artist. What is your brand? What do you want to represent to your community? What kind of community are you trying to build? Figure out what you like as a consumer, as a viewer, as a fan. And then what that does, once you're able to figure out what you like as a fan, you have found the fan that you're trying to gain. You're trying to make a community of like-minded individuals, right? So you need to figure out what is going on in here for you. And once you figure that out, you can figure out how to appeal to you. Once you appeal to you, you'll appeal to everybody else who is just like you. And then you'll build your community organically. And another thing that I highly encourage is not to shy away from drawing inspiration from other artists. One thing that's been major for me in the past couple of years is I've been, very open about the fact that I've been inspired by Connor Price, Nick D, La Russell, and all these other artists. And when I say that I'm inspired by them, it's because they are living the life that I want to live, which is doing music full time. And they have the same responsibilities as me. All 3 of those artists that I listed, they're all family men. They've all got kids. They've all got a partner. They're all just trying to do it. And even though they've got a family and they've got those responsibilities, they're still making it work. And they're still achieving what it is that I want to achieve. So figure out what it is in your life, what responsibilities you have. Find artists that also have those responsibilities and are making it happen. And then build your own blueprint based on how they did it. And don't look at other artists who don't align with what's going on in your life. Why would I look at Sabrina Carpenter or Nicki Minaj or even Jay-Z to an extent? Why would I look at their blueprint and then try and shape mine around it? We're not starting on the same. We're not playing the same game. We're not starting in the same positions. Why would I look at Post Malone and try and base my blueprint off that? Post Malone doesn't have the amount of kids that I have. He's not the same skin color as me. I don't have his privilege. That sort of thing. Not to diminish Post Malone. I love Post Malone. But those are the things you got to think about. What artists do you feel hold a mirror to you? And that ultimately, I feel, is going to help you to shape what it is that you're doing when you take the independent route. Now, how do you define success as an independent artist? I think I already covered that. Success to me as an independent artist is being able to do music full time and keep a roof over my family's head. If I can make the amount of income that we need to be making to live comfortably, while doing music full time and, just being in the studio all day, recording music, releasing music, creating content, then I will be content. I will be happy. That's success to me. I don't need anything more than that. If I do achieve anything more than that, great, solid. But all I want to do is create every single day and take care of my family. Enough said. What are the benefits of being part of an independent label community? Alright, so I'm not too sure what it means by that. I feel like I haven't really established myself within the independent label community just yet. But I'd imagine that once I do, it's the fact that I'm able to, leverage the knowledge of my peers, which is something that I'm doing. When I think about that question, I'll probably repurpose it and take it to mean what it means to be part of the artist community, especially here in Melbourne, is that there's so many artists trying different things, trial and error, and we're able to leverage each other's knowledge about what did work and what didn't work to get them to this point. And that's definitely the biggest benefit of it all. I can hop on a live with M.A.D one night and find out, what they're working on and how they're feeling about the music industry. Or, I can talk to JBN and Vina at Be Free, and we can talk about, what's going on in our journeys and the events that we're running or the music that we're making. So being a part of any community is all about everybody coming together and sharing what they know works and doesn't work, so that we can all, achieve the greatest things that we can achieve as individuals. So yeah, that's how I'm going to answer that question. What future goals do you have for your label? Just to get established. We need to prove the concept. In saying that, I feel like there's already a lot of independent labels, especially in Australia, that are actively trying to prove the same concept. So it is quite difficult. I think another aspect is how we're going to set ourselves apart, which is going to be a challenge, but it's a challenge I'm up for. And hopefully we can make it work. But I just want to find like-minded individuals who I know are going to put in the same amount of work as I'm going to put in. Because you guys know me, I burn the candle at both ends. I go crazy about this stuff. I try and put my best foot forward in every single thing that I do. And I'm just looking for people with that same kind of work ethic and that same kind of passion and drive to make this thing happen, to build this together. And in saying that, I feel like I'm getting, I've met a lot of people in the past couple of years who share those sentiments. So I know that we're going to make it happen. But that concludes this episode. That's all 7 questions. I hope this gave you guys a little bit more of an insight into, where I'm at as an artist, as a human being, especially as an independent artist. If you guys have any more specific questions about being an independent artist and what it's like to, struggle on the indie scene, or, the kinds of success that I've had as an indie, please comment below and let me know what your questions are. Even if it's not related to being independent, comment below. I'm happy to answer these questions. If you liked this video, please leave a like. If you didn't like it, smash dislike. Otherwise, please subscribe to the channel. Really want that play button. Very keen for it. And remember, at the end of the day, together, we move.